Yo, what's up, everybody? Dre Day on Day and the place to be with another episode of the Dasher series. We're here in the studio, chilling it, having another ep. You might notice that I'm wearing the same clothes as the last episode. You know, I don't wear the same clothes every week. I'm doing back-to-back episodes, but you won't know who you won't listen to this one till maybe later on the week. Maybe I release 2 in a week. Maybe I don't know. I got to spread them out if I don't have anybody lined up. But thank you to everybody who's been watching. Thank you to comment, subscribes, all the good stuff. I appreciate it. Yes, thank you, sir. Send it to your mom, your aunt, your uncle, whoever. Let them know that series is back. We're doing episodes. If you want to get on the episode, hit me up. I'm taking interviews not only from old OGs, but people who played back in the days, or new cats, new people, everybody. But thank you again to everybody who watched. Without further ado, I want to bring in my guest because not only is he a homeboy that helped me out a lot when I was casting, but he was part of a dope team that got a championship, and he helped the league out a lot. I don't know if they want to admit it or not, but in my opinion, he helped the league out a lot. He's your friend. He's my friend. He's everybody's friend. I said it, and I stand on it. What's up, Percent?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having me on.
How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good, dude. I'm feeling good. Stepped away from this game a long time ago, and we got to do that cast the other day. It was super fun. I miss hanging out with you guys. Miss being in the booth, man. That was all good stuff.
Hear that, everybody? We had if you guys don't know, we did a cast for Hyper Cup, right? We did was it a match of the band players versus the top players?
Yeah, and those top players were good, man. Those modern era players that showed up.
I'm not gonna lie, it definitely made me miss casting, like being in the booth, having a party, chit-chatting, watching the game. I miss it.
Yo, same here, dude. Same here. Yeah, absolutely. Miss a lot of the friends I made in this community, but for sure miss hanging out with you, man.
You know what else? What's is crazy is and Fathead brought it up on the episode I did with him. I don't know if you watched it or not, but he showed an episode, and we were just, not only was there too many people in the booth, it was like me, you, Laggy, Gatsby, Lat. It was just a bunch of people in there. It was just a bunch of people. I couldn't even hear everybody, but it was a bunch of noise. The music was blasting over everything. It was crazy, bro.
I did catch most of it. I haven't had a chance to finish yet, but I saw the cast. That was Vibe versus TBD, and I heard Pursuit of Happiness. I'm like, man, that was a good song. I haven't heard that in a while either. But good cast too. Crazy game, man. Vibe taking the victory.
Taking the victory. Oh, dude, the checkpoint. The checkpoint when they got through at the last second.
That. Insanity, man. Insanity. You can hear me on the cast screaming, like, man, they need to get a rocket in there. There's 1 second left. And they got through there and won. That's crazy.
And the dope thing is we did it, like, none of us really, like, first of all, none of us went to school for this. Like, we just did it for the love. But, like, it came through, like, you could see the passion in the cast. Like, we were there, we were shouting out what we saw, like as if we were with our friends, and we were just yelling out what's going on.
100%.
It wasn't like
that was the beauty of the whole thing, man. It's just everyone having fun. Back then, like, we were all kind of trapped at home, COVID and all that, and like we found community in this game, and it brought a lot of us together. We spent way too much time on this stuff. I don't know that we could have that level of engagement that we had back then again. I don't know. It's hard to say.
They do pretty good now. It's pretty good, but it's not like it used to be, bro. And when it was coming up and everything was new and everything was raw and we were just figuring it out, getting our feet wet, figuring out what worked, what didn't, it was pretty crazy. We were building that road.
The best, man. Absolutely. I think honestly, like I started playing the game a little bit and I liked it a lot. I found it on a side quest or something, where you had to upload it.
Oh, you came on a side quest. Oh, crazy.
I did back in the alpha days, and I was like, man, it's got to, this is fun. Like, so I looked it up on YouTube. I was like, there's got to be some videos on it, and I saw your cast, and I'm like, wow, this is like so professional and cool. And I had no idea one day I'd be joining you on a regular basis, man. It was awesome.
Dude, so when you hit me up, because Maker's the same thing, he hit me up, he's like, yo, I like what you're doing, I want to help out. I was like, under my breath, I was like, thank God, I need help. This is just hard by myself. So I had Makers helping me with the commentating. He could keep talking when I couldn't or everything, and he know a lot about the game and the ins and outs. And then you would also bounce off of him and give me a chance to just chime in with funny, dumb shit. But then you helped me out with the once I got you on the follow cam, bro.
Oh yeah.
We had this shit on lock. I had you locked virtual in. You were controlling the side cam, the follow cam. I was doing the drone cam, and we had that shit on lock, bro, with all the graphics and the music and I admit, the music was too loud. Okay, I understand.
That was the best part. That was the best part. It was a party, man. I do remember they kept taking down your videos. You got copyright strikes a lot because they didn't like that you're using their music.
Yeah, I had to learn the hard way that certain artists don't like when you use their music, no matter what. Because I would give up the royalties. Like I didn't give a fuck. I wasn't making money off of any of the episodes, but I would give up the royalties right away. But some of them they would get mad and just block it or mute it, and I would just have to like cut that part out or whatever, or just mute that part of the show because it was a dope part of the cast.
Oh no way! I didn't even realize you had to go back and edit those things out. I just thought you had to demonetize or something.
No, it wasn't enough to demonetize you. Sometimes you had to go back and mute it because it was the part of the chunk of where they wanted me to take out was too important. I would just mute it so you couldn't hear nothing. At least you can still see it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then other parts I would just edit it out. So I was like, all right, I was just messing around. I'll just edit it out real quick.
That's interesting stuff, man.
Yeah,
but back then was a different world. I remember one of the first tournaments. It was like, dude, I couldn't even tell you what the tournament was, but I remember the Saber Quest guy dominated, and I was like, that's got to be the best player in the game, man. And it's just crazy how things evolved. In the early days, there were a lot of people that you thought were the best player in the game, and it just kept changing. You had Yellow, and you had Saber Quest, you had Eskimo Bear, and then eventually, through all that, Rekko evolved, and he became the guy,
the man, the LeBron James.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, like you said, when the league started, we thought the elites was the team to beat. Like that was it. That was the team that we had to like. They were gonna have the championship. They were gonna have the crown forever. And then the crown got passed around a little bit. And then once TBD got it, we were like, all right. Well, I didn't say it, but the league was like, yo, we got to make it like, tournaments or change it so that instead of you beat the person with the crown, it changes every season.
A lot of early changes. That was interesting time. I mean, I think the King of the Hill style that they started with was good for getting up and running, but eventually like a season style with a playoffs, pretty fun. Having an actual championship game where we had those big casts and a lot of hype behind it was pretty cool.
I do appreciate you and Makers and everybody, but especially you and Makers and One Up Crypt, because you guys saw the vision early on. Like the crazy stuff I would come up with, you guys would just go with it and help me complete it or get it done. And I do appreciate that because I would come up with some weird, crazy shit. And One Up Crypt would stay up late with me and he would fucking edit the videos or get whatever we need to get done. And you guys came for all those casts. Like we did so many casts. Quad did a bunch of casts with me too. Like a bunch of calming, and like without you guys, it would have been difficult, man.
Oh yeah, I hear you. No, I remember we had whole weekends where just back-to-back casts, like it was nonstop. We spent must have been like 24 hours in a weekend just casting games.
And it was easier. I know in the beginning, like when I had you guys, like it was easier, but when life changed for both of you guys, for Makers and you, that it was harder to get you guys more often than not, but I had to still commit, and that's why I tried bringing other people. But you guys were my go-to goats. Like when we were in the booth, bro, those were the three amigos. We had a great time, and you just throw in anybody else, and that was just gravy on top. Just gravy 100%. On top.
100%. As long as we had the three of us, though, we knew we were golden, man. We had a good repertoire going. Like we had good, ability to talk off of each other, and we kind of knew when to space ourselves out. But I loved having random people jump in. Doofus. Yeah. Like, we just had so much fun. That was the best, man.
We weren't that good in the beginning. We were bad. We were talking over each other and everything, but we figured it out. And that's the main thing.
We figured it out as we went. We had some good times, so we had some great casts. That was the one sad thing about playoffs was that I couldn't calm my own games, I miss that.
We tried before they made the rule where you couldn't calm your own team, or what is it, the other one? I don't know. They made so many rules, but yeah, in the beginning we would have people literally like during a match come in the booth and kick it with us, and then go back in the match, and it's like, all right.
I always thought it'd be fun to live cast, but then of course you're worried about people hearing your comms in real time and being able to make adjustments. So, we took it a little too seriously, I think, at times. I mean, when I say we, certain people, not my team, TM&M. Never, as much as I may have wanted them to, we were never like a serious team. That was part of the fun though. The first game I ever played with them, these guys didn't even talk about the game a single time. The only thing they said, we played FR, and the only thing they said game related was how much they hated the shotgun guy. He kept Toga. He kept killing us over and over again. They're like, the shotgun guy. But the rest of the time was just talking about rec room and random stuff, and I was like, how are these guys so good and they don't even care? Like, this is nuts.
Because you started out on Onyx. The very first team you were on was Onyx.
That's right.
And
Onyx, man.
And you were down. You and Classic were ride or dies and everything, and then you moved over to team name.
Yeah. So when I first jumped in, actually Fathead recruited me into the league. He gave me a Discord link or something, and I jumped in. And I just kind of posted in like the recruiting channel, and Classic reached out to me pretty quickly.
Are you saying Fathead slid you his digits?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
He was doing this campaign. It's like join 5v5 or something was his name, and we were playing in a pub together. But yeah, and ever since then, Classic and I were trying to build this thing up into a competitive team. But it was early, and there was not a lot of new blood joining. And the new blood that did join that was good was going to all the established teams, especially the HH teams, because everyone wanted to be an HH. And the best way to get an HH was to join an HH team. So it was really tough to recruit. We ended up getting Miss Kitty, and she was amazing, but she refused to use her mic. It's a dysfunctional team. So I think both of us, as much as we liked Onyx, kind of wanted out, and we talked about it at one point. Classic's like, look, I'm gonna join ARC, and I was like, cool. At the time, Team M had reached out to me because they had to forfeit the matches due to unavailability. And I was like, you know what, I'll just help these guys out, I'll finish the season out, and then I'll start looking for, like, my permanent team. I really honestly wanted to join Fathead's team, but he never seemed to have a spot when I was free, and when he did reach out to me, I was kind of like, I'm going to stick this Team M thing out. Like, these guys are pretty good, I think I can make something of them.
Bro, you did great. They were pretty good. I remember when they came in, it was kind of rambunctious.
100%.
Bunch. They were rowdy. They were rowdy group. That's what I'm trying to say. And
like a 4chan,
but they were cool as fuck. I loved all of us. Midnight and Bart and all of them. I was like, oh yeah, these are my peoples. I mean, I love this. But then once you joined them, they became like a legitimate team. Like they were a good team before, but they were kind of but with TBD on the rise because they weren't D yet. It was like, oh, these teams are these guys are gonna eat everybody's lunch for a while. But once you join them, was it you that whipped them into shape, or was it just the team got serious?
I'd like to think I contributed heavily to that. I mean, The truth is, these people were video gamers. They were really good. They all did something unique and special, and I just kind of watched them play, and I borrowed, techniques and things that they were doing in game, and I saw what they were doing well, and I tried to copy that, and then I tried to focus it, like, all right, like, Izzy, you're crazy good at this, like, you should just pretty much do that like the whole time, or in this area you should focus on that. And we kind of built a little bit of like strat around just what they were good at. The truth is you weren't going to force these people to do something they didn't want to do, but if you could help them see what was like working, then they would do that.
That's a great way to look at things. Instead of forcing people to do things, how about you just try to explain the benefits of it or something? Instead, like
Yeah. And I'm not trying to redefine your play style. Exactly. Just like, this is what you do well. You should just keep focusing on doing that more. Yeah. And we had people with completely different skill sets. I know nowadays people are pretty much well-rounded, but you had like Doofus, who's just an insane dasher. He could move around a map like better than anyone I've ever seen, and we just found ways to make that useful. And then we had other players who had just crazy aim. The most of the team had crazy aim, but in certain circumstances, we try to focus on, hey, do this here, and set up there, and that kind of thing.
And the meta kept changing constantly. Like I remember, like when I would go to the chat, it was constantly the meta was this, the meta was that, and teams were either starting up or folding constantly, like left and right. So it was hard to get a pulse on what it was going to be. Now you more or less got tactics pretty much set in stone.
I'm sure we've had years and years of people refining things, building off of each other. The early wars, it was like a Cold War, right? Like we were battling in game, out of game, and things progressed very quickly, way quicker than they would have if there weren't like these teams just like trying to go cutthroat to win them at all costs. But yeah, the meta was constantly changing, and as much as we tried to keep up or stay in the front of it, it's tough, especially when you don't have a team who like specifically you think like this is what I'm gonna do. They just wanted to have fun, and I respected that. Like for them, this was never gonna be we're gonna become beasts. It was just we're video gamers and we're gonna go out and have fun. And if it's not fun, we're not gonna do it.
Now, season, was it 3 that you guys took it, right?
3 or 4, one, yeah, something like that. I can't recall specifically. One of the two.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
So now you think you guys would have been able to you guys think you would have taken the crowd if D was still in the match?
Maybe. Probably not. I mean, I think the first time we played them in a championship, we were one disconnect away from winning a second map off of them or whatever it was, and honestly, at the time, we were better at that waterway map. We'd had some bad luck as the match went on, but we had a cat step on a power.
That was crazy.
Fly,
that was when I found out that was legitimately what happened. Like that was the truth. Like it wasn't just like a cat got my tongue, a dog ate my homework. No, that's what happened. Tell them what happened. Tell them what happened, percent.
Yeah, so one of our players, who was one of our best players at the time, he was someone that D was trying to steal from us in the finals on Waterway. Just goes AFK. We didn't even know what happened until after the match ended, because we were all so much adrenaline. We're just playing, and we lose and we lose a point like really quickly, and we're like, oh whoa, and then next thing we know, we lose the next point like right away. Which Waterway, when you're 4 to 5, and pretty balanced teams, it can go quick once you lose a player.
It's a power play.
That's what happened. And Lat jumps in. He tried to convince them to redo the map, and obviously, I'm like, yeah, sure, if they're willing. Like, why wouldn't we take a second out of this? But obviously, they didn't have any reason to accept that. They won, so that just kind of ended it right there. But I think we had a shot there. In the next season, D got a little stronger. They picked up Koala, and I mean, it would have been tough, but I'm not going to say impossible. Anyone could be beat.
Obviously, they could be beat. Fathead had examples to show on Reddit to show us. He was like, "Hey, by the way, let me show you this video. Go ahead."
but yeah, I mean, who's to say, man? All I do know is there was a lot of controversy around that, but the truth is, like, I only ever wanted the league to just set up a system of rules and then follow those rules, see them through the end of the season. If there were some things you needed to tweak, change them. But one of the rules was the MMR system, and they didn't earn their way into playoffs. It was weird because, like, I get it. They were the best team that season in the regular season once they joined, but they missed so much time that they didn't earn their way into playoffs. And it was kind of silly in my head to even suggest that they should just get auto-gifted a spot in playoffs. Like, you had a system of rules, and this is how you earn that spot, and they didn't earn it. And it was kind of open and shut.
I forgot that it was the MMR. That motherfucker. That shit that everybody was like. It was the bane of everybody's existence, bro. It was a good idea, but it executed terribly.
MMRs, originally, it was so secretive, which is like, I get it. You don't want people gaming it, but just reformulate it so that it can't be gamed. If an MMR is set up in a good way, in a public good way, then it should be optimized to just determine how good people were, not have to be silenced, so that if a team happens to have a strat that aligns with what awards MMR, they get more. But they wanted it to be all secretive. But there was definitely some flaws in the early MMR system. I mean, I remember once I kind of figured it out, I was like, man, if you were to just hide in your base the whole game, never die, and just shoot people who showed up at your shield, you could get like practically infinite MMR. Like, there were some silly like thought experiments I did early on with that, but we never actually pursued anything like that. I mean, ultimately, the best teams, no matter how flawed MMR is, the best teams were going to rise to the top. But again, it wasn't like an average situation. It was a cumulative, scoring, and so they didn't earn the points to get into playoffs. I still hear people every now and then. I've seen some of your series talking about how they got cheated out of playoffs, and it's like, well, not really, man. You missed like a good chunk of the season. You didn't have enough time to catch up, and yes, there was some miscommunication about whether it would be possible to earn your way back up.
That was the thing.
But that's the thing. Like, what did they change the system because they misspoke? I mean, just join in the beginning. Why didn't they join originally? They had the players. They just didn't have like the top players they wanted.
and they were, yeah, I think they were trying to do something because they were trying to follow the rules, like kind of, but not quite. But you know what bugged me was that they would change the rules mid season. I was like, bro,
Right,
just let shit
right,
happen. Quit.
exactly.
If you change every little thing, then it's gonna be like, it's gonna be like you're a problem because you have to do all these battles instead of waiting for one big
Yeah,
fight.
and then you have fights about, why did you change the rule now instead of when it affected me negatively? And people get feelings hurt and things like that. And that affected us negatively multiple times when they changed the rule after we'd already suffered the consequences of that rule or lack of that rule. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Just set a system of rules in place at the beginning of the season. Let the season play out. Unless there's something just fundamentally like
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
that
severe.
ruins the experience.
Yeah,
But that was never really the case. It was just don't make tweaks during the season, and you won't have people really getting those hurt feelings and all the drama that falls out afterwards. I assume they've gotten it buttoned up by now. I don't really follow the league anymore, but I assume that's been a long time for them to kind of get things in a flow.
I mean, I understand that they had to deal with a lot of people and a lot of voices and a lot of feelings because that's the problem. It was a lot of feelings. But
Yes.
if we had AI like with no heart and just like ran, I think they would agree. It would just better let things play out and wait for it to come to a crescendo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, no,
as long as it
should have
wasn't
been.
like doxing or physical or financial,
Yeah,
I mean,
right, right.
just let it go.
100%.
So you guys
Right.
took Arc in that season. Now going up against Arc, were you guys nervous?
Honestly, no. I think we did worse against Ark. I mean, we won, and I think we won every map, but we expected to just full dominate because all of our scrims we'd been like messing around and not taking anything seriously and still just beating them with our eyes closed. It was a lot closer than I thought it would be. They had some crazy, if you go back, they had some crazy checkpoint finishes. Made it to checkpoint in, like the last second. They would get like stupid distance because I guess we were just maybe a little too cocky. Like I said, in scrims, and we scrimmed them a lot. It was never close. We could goof off. Taser used to do this thing where he'd sit on the floor with two snipers and somehow still get stupid amount of kills. And I'm not trying to bash on them. It's just at the time we were like really at the top of our game, and they were good too. But they were going through a lot of turnover with their players, so they didn't have time to build themselves up to what they would be eventually.
Bro, I feel bad for Arc because I mean they kept trying, they kept going to finals, and but you know, you know, they couldn't do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hear you. Unfortunately, one team gets to win at the end of the season, and it just never shook out for them in their favor.
Eh,
I really think at some point, had all of us kept playing, we would have just formed one team. We were all pretty tight,
Oh, you
and
think
maybe that would
so?
have made it happen. Yeah, I
Oh,
think
really?
so. There were talks about it. If you remember, we did the joke, the undie joke when we played each other in finals. We all showed up with the same tag, and we made jokes about assembling as one squad. But I guess in a way, Acer sort of was Arc and TMNM built together. But
That's what I say. Didn't
I,
Acer win a championship?
did they? I can't even recall, man. I hope they did.
I
Like I
don't.
said,
I think they're
a
on
lot of
season
homies.
9 or 10 now.
Wow, that's crazy.
I
Crazy
dropped.
to think about.
I dropped out after 4. I was like, "Yo, you don't need me for finals. Cool, I'm out. I'm done." And I didn't commit to no more seasons.
Yeah, I hear that. The last season I was going to play, I really didn't want to play that season. I was kind of out. I had so little personal time, left anymore, and
Yeah.
and we added some new players, and they were all so, they were hungry. They wanted to get a championship with Flippy and a few other guys who just really wanted to get their win, but yeah, my heart wasn't in it anymore, man. Like the days when you were there and stuff, it just changed so much.
Man. So I mean, the whole thing is the reason you dropped out. I mean, it sucks. I mean, people are pretty angry. I've heard people are still upset. They don't like what happened. But mistakes are made and shit goes down. I don't. I mean, if it went down the way I heard it went down, then that kind of sucks. I mean, fuck, that shit sucks. I
It
would.
happens, man.
Yeah.
And you move on. Um, like I said, I miss the guys that I used to play with. The friends that I made along the way. But dude, there's no way I'd have time to put into this game if I was still playing. I wouldn't be half the player that people probably. I think there's a like sort of a mythical. People hit me up all the time saying like, "Hey man, when are you gonna come back and play?" It's like, dude, I don't even think that if I came back, you would recognize me. It's been so many years, and I'm sure the meta's changed. There's no way I would put the same amount of time in game that I used to.
When I heard that you got banned from everything, like everything, I was like, "What the fuck? How do you get banned from everything? Like, what the fuck you mean?"
I never actually heard from the devs. I just assumed that I wasn't welcome in Breachers, so I never tried. I've heard they're making a new game. I'm not gonna try to get into that.
You're not
I've
even
played
trying
VR.
front?
Is that what it's called? Yeah, no, probably not. I'm sure I'm preemptively banned there before I even.
For real?
even
You think you're banned
yeah.
in pre?
I don't know. The only game I've actually touched in like the last 2 years on VR is Pop One, which is still fun. I put it
Too
on,
slow.
and actually I thought I'd be terrible, but it's one of those games like riding a bicycle. You just hop in and enjoy it.
Nah, I'm the opposite. I tried to play that game. It was too slow, and I kept getting killed. What I am playing a lot of is Spatial Ops. There's a single player campaign. It's like a mixed reality game where you open these portals and you get to shoot people through the portals.
Cool.
It's fucking cool, dude. I'm into that. The Batman game, I'm into that one. I feel like Batman. I like playing with my cape.
Okay. Might have to get into that. I tried a few games that advertised themselves as like a Spider-Man game, and none of them were fun. So
Nah, those ones. Plus, they you know what's pretty dope, but it's not very Spider-Man, but it's dope. It's Swarm 2. Like you're basically like use a grappling hook and you kind of fly around the level and you shoot shit. I didn't like the first one, but the second one's dope. I have that one, and this other one that's like a mech fighter is called Underdogs. You're like in an arena and you're fighting shit and you're in a mech. I suck at that one, but I get down.
Okay, I might have to check those out at some point.
I try to play as many games as I can in between the time that I have because like before Dash League, I was doing a bunch of podcasts. I had the network and I was doing all that, and then I got Dash League and that took like more than half of my time. So I just like I reduced all my podcasts. So now I only do one consistently, another one sometimes, and another one only once a month. It's the video skate contest. But that's it. Like I cut down on all the podcasts I do. Oh, I guess I do this one too now. But I cut down all the podcasts so I have time to do other things and like enjoy shit. Like go outside, go travel. I went to Hawaii. That shit was fucking dope. Fucking shout out to Maui. I love that island. I love the people there. I'm trying to get around the country, go do things, and have a good time and talk to cool people. I mean, I don't want to have friends. That's not the point. I have enough friends, but I want to talk to cool people. If that makes sense.
I hear you. I've been doing a ton of traveling the last few years. It's been awesome. Certainly different from when we were all in here, like COVID. I don't think I flew a single time during that time period, but it's been a lot nonstop lately. I've actually switched more to like mobile gaming, just because it's easier.
Okay. And so what you playing mobile?
I'm just gonna keep that anonymous. I unfortunately. And I've learned in video gaming, people come after you and hold grudges, and I'm climbing. Let's just say I'm climbing the ranks in certain big games, and
oh, crazy!
It's fun, man. I think when you're a gamer, those skills translate pretty well.
What type of genre is it?
All
right.
There's a few.
All right.
There's a few.
But I have my Steam Deck, so that gives me opportunity to get down on a bunch of Steam games. But I play whatever I can on there. Like, I think right now I'm playing Spider-Man, the first one, because I beat the Morales one, and then I tried that Schedule 1 game that one of you fucking selling drugs and shit. I have the other one, Drug Dealer Simulator 2, but
I haven't heard of that. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah. There's Drug Simulator 1 and Drug Simulator 2, and then they came up with this one Schedule 1 that is pissing off the other creators. Well, not the creators, but the publishers.
That's hilarious. Have you looked into the Switch 2 yet?
Switch 2? I don't have a Switch. I could play some Switch games on my Steam Deck. I have that emulator on there, but allegedly. But the Switch, I never got the Switch 1. And so the Switch 2, I like it. I see that it's going to be bigger, have a bunch of dope shit about it, everything. But the price is killing me in the games, bro. $80.
Oh shit! I haven't actually looked into the pricing yet. That's nuts, man. That's terrible. I have a Switch 1. To be honest, it's probably my favorite system I've ever had. Like,
really?
Even more than when I loved VR. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just so convenient, dude. Like it's like crazy convenient. And like I grew up playing the N64. That was like my favorite system of all time.
Yes.
So there's a lot of nostalgia in those games. I never played Zelda as a kid, but on the
What?
Switch, man, I fell in love with what is it, Breath of the Wild and Tears or something. Those are some of my favorite games ever. Super fun. You know, VR came out. What was the Zenith or something like that came out? It was kind of like a Zelda-like game. It was super
Oh,
fun for like
Xenix
three
or
days,
Xena? Yeah.
something like that. And I just got bored of that shit so fast. But I've actually replayed those Zelda games. They're so damn fun. There's so much to do. They're huge maps, like for a handheld system, but super awesome. And then of course like Mario, and then the Switch added, you know, like a emulator built into it, like a legal, you know, through Nintendo's setup,
Yeah.
and you could play old N64 games. And that's
Yeah.
been awesome too. I mean, I say that's been awesome. I haven't played Switch in probably a year either, but I might get the Switch too. But now that you're telling me $80 a game, I'm rethinking that. That's crazy.
So the way they justified it, and going back to the Switch One, bro, that's dope that you could play those games. I have a Pi that has a bunch of and I just recently found a controller that gives me full access to the whole N64 controller, so it's pretty dope that I can actually use an authentic N64 controller with my Pi. So that's dope.
That's crazy.
But you can't play all games. Like you still can't play WrestleMania 2000, and you can't play NWO versus WCW versus NWO Revenge. It fucking sucks. But I would love to get it on the Switch One, just to play it, because I have a bunch of virtual games on my Wii and my Wii U, but I didn't get the
Nice.
Switch One. But the Switch Two is gonna have GameCube games. They're gonna
No
bring that out.
way.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, shit.
And-
Now I'm probably
and-
gonna have to.
And it's bigger, and the joypads are not. They're now magnetic, so they snap in instead of sliding them. They snap. They're magnetic,
That's good.
and they're gonna.
That's good. I've had to replace those things like twice, which is kind of unreasonable when you consider the cost. But
Hopefully
they just flip out and then they don't work really well.
hopefully they use Hall effect and they don't go to the whatever dumb shit they're using in the other Joy Cons. But I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know about that. But they can also be used as mouse. That's what's dope. They have this games that could be used like
Whoa.
make them use as like mouse, like trackpad.
Oh, that's cool. That's super cool. You know, speaking of Joy Cons, you know the one thing about VR that always bothered me was how many controllers I went through, man. You know, the Quest 2, Quest 1 started getting stick drift early on. You start spraying it, and I feel like once you spray it with contact cleaner, like that's it. Every 2 days, you're stuck having to spray it. The Index was a little better, and while you're under warranty, they'll send you free replacements. But they're all bound to fail at some point. I swear, it's like, and maybe it's because of the meta at the time was sprint circling, and you just wear out that left thumbstick so fast.
No, for sure. I just recently had issues with my Quest 3. The left one is giving me issues, and I was like, "What the hell is this crazy shit that it's doing?" And I had to ask makers, like, "Hey, what is this?" He's like, "Oh, that's drift. That's classic drift, stick drift." But I was able
At some point, they gotta find a way to fix that, man. That's insanity. It's like
I was able to
ridiculous.
clear it up for now with just some
Cool.
contact cleaner and pressed air.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I don't
Hopefully
know how
it
long
lasts
that
you
lasts.
longer than it ever lasted me. I used to go through bottles of that stuff so quickly. Like I said, every 2 days or something, you're spraying out again because the stick drifts back and meaner than ever.
the Quest ones were good. I like those controllers. They were solid. I really liked them. The Quest 2s, bro, those were bad. Those are real bad.
Built to break, right? They were
And-
cheaper. You know, I paid more for my Quest 1 than I paid for my Quest 2.
Yeah, me too. I think the Quest 2, the Quest 1 was 400 and the Quest 2 was 300.
That sounds about right.
And
That
then
sounds
the
about right.
Quest 3
And the
was
Quest 1 was
500.
impossible to buy. Dude, I had an alert set up for when the Quest, you know, finally was available to buy. It took forever and I got that email and I jumped on it immediately.
Are you
And
talking
then-
about the Quest what?
Yeah, Quest
Yeah,
1.
me too.
It's like impossible to find one of those things. It's like a PS5, dude.
I'm a dumbass because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get it. I've been waiting all this time for VR. Finally, I could use it without a computer because my computer sucked. And I was like, finally, I could do VR. Finally, thank God. And I was like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait because my money's tight and this and that, and that'll be available and this. And not only did I miss out on it, I had to wait like you did, like 6 months, 7 months.
Yep.
But
yep.
we didn't get Beat Saber free no more. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't get Beat
yeah.
Saber, and it was free in the beginning. But when I got it later, I didn't get that shit.
Yep. missed out on a lot of stuff there. And then when the Quest 2 came out, I was out of town in a very remote area when it dropped the pre-order, and I purchased it. And when it finally arrived, I got 4 boxes with Quest 2s in them. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I checked it. Of course, I got charged 4 times.
What?
Yeah, I think the poor internet signal I had just like, I don't know. It's like wild that that's even a possibility. I didn't get 4 confirmation emails, but I got charged 4 headsets, and I had 4 of them, and I had to offload them. And I wish I'd waited because the price went up like $100. But I sold them at cost right away.
Okay. Well, at least you got your money back, but damn, that's crazy.
I did get my money back, but it was when I saw the box, I was like, oh no, what have I done?
What a dummy.
And then, of course, by the time the Quest 3 came out, I was kind of over it. I had an Index already, and the Index is still a great system. I use it very, very rarely, but it's still super reliable. I don't know why they've never come out with something to top it. Maybe they just feel like VR is not progressing like they thought it would, and I think a lot of us thought that VR was going to explode, especially in the early days of like the HyperDash community. We thought, man, this is it. This is the future. Everyone's going to be on this. Like, console gaming is dead. This is the new way things are going to go. But for some reason, it just never launched.
Nah, man. I mean, there's a fan for everything. There's like it's not for everyone. I don't think VR is ever going to be super mainstream like they want. Mixed reality might, but not VR.
Right. I mean, we'll probably see more like the smart glasses coming out with augmented reality and things.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know what it is. There is a getting used to it period. I know for the first week or so of playing, if I played too long, I got motion sickness, like legitimately like sick, and I'd have to put it down and give it a break. And so maybe that's what it is. Maybe people who try it feel a little queasy and just don't want to go jump back into it again. And for a long time, those VR arcades were blowing up, and I thought that was going to progress things. And I've been seeing them closing down and not really getting any traction. And that might be just because the games and the devs don't really see putting in all that money, so it's just it's all cumulative that never really launched like everyone thought it would.
It's just for those spots. I love them. I go to them. I try to support them, but it's just expensive for the experience you're getting. It's
Very
like
true.
it's like I don't know. You guys need to make this more like we have this thing called a 2-bit circus out here, which is still a little pricey. It's not cheap. But they have a bunch of virtual reality games, and they have them set up so you could do like this alien attack game and this other game.
Cool.
It's just a bunch of experiences, and I'm like, all right, this is cool. It's still expensive, but at least this is cool where you could get a bunch of experiences and everything done in the spot. But they need to make like that. They need to make like a Chuck E. Cheese or like a Six Flags for VR, where you go, you pay one price, and then you can try everything. You can play everything.
Yeah, but they're trying to make their money back as soon as possible, and that's tough because you got to get a computer ready to, that's able to run everything. There's a lot of infrastructure to it, maintaining the headsets, the controllers, stick drift, I'm sure factors in eventually. It's a lot of cost, and they got to make a profit, or else they don't really, what's the point of being in business?
You're a fucking startup. Make money fucking like every other startup, selling drugs and stocks. Come on, man. Get it with it. Allegedly. Hey, the thing I'm into right now that's pretty dope is like it's not that expensive. It's like $40 for an hour. It's laser tag, bro. Get down some laser tag.
Oh yeah, dude. I used to love laser tag. I don't see as many of those around me anymore as I used to. I mean, I still love it, but
they're making a comeback.
Yeah. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, laser tag's dope, man. That's what all that's like early VR but in real life,
No, dude, I used to love laser tag. I tried the early VR in the mall where you had to wear the heavy ass headset and it cost like $10, and that was a lot of money back in the days.
Did you ever try out that Nintendo VR headset?
Oh yeah, I had the Virtual Boy.
Nice. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's the other thing. It's like 3D in itself. It comes in and out of fad every so often. Like movies, we had a resurgence, and I thought, from now on everything's gonna be 3D because this is pretty cool. And it died.
I never really tried I never got the 3D TV because I couldn't afford it and it didn't look dope or there wasn't shit for it. And also the movies. I saw a couple movies in 3D, but I was always like, I don't see the point of this. Like it's really a gimmick.
So there's a fine balance there. Like you do want some gimmicky stuff. Like I feel like one of the best like three uses of 3D in like a modern-ish movie was that Harold and Kumar Christmas movie, like where they would throw snowballs and like the snowball looks like it's coming out at you. You need a little of that because otherwise, what's the point? Like watching 3D where nothing is actually like interacting with the audience in any way is a little bit like pointless. And then of course, those 3D movies when they're in theaters, everything looks so dark. Like I remember watching Harry Potter 3D in movies in theaters, and I was like, man, I can't really see what's going on here.
It's fucking
And I saw it
dark.
in 2D, and it's like, whoa, I can actually see the screen now. It's like watching the end of Game of Thrones, man. I was like, I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Yeah, dude, it gets real dark with those glasses. I think the shades are better now. I think they got the shades a little bit better, like lighter tint. But yeah, they were dark, super dark in the beginning. Like Avatar 3D days, that shit was dark as fuck. The back in the days, way back in the days. I don't know if you remember this, but one of Freddy Krueger's movies came out in theaters, and like part of it was in 3D, and they would tell the audience like, okay, now put the 3D glasses on in this part,
Yep.
and you would
Yep.
put it on, and you watch that part of the movie in 3D.
I do remember those days, man. Yeah, it wasn't just Freddy Krueger. There was a lot of movies like that where it's like, put your 3D glasses on now.
It was
Yeah,
crazy.
it's kind of wild. It's a fad though. Like the first 3D
But it
movie came
worked.
out
But it
years
legitimately
long
worked,
time ago.
and it
did
didn't
work,
cost that
it
much
did work.
money.
Yeah. Well, it was like the days with the blue and red 3D glasses. I mean, obviously the 3D glasses nowadays are significantly better, but yeah, I think the fad's dying. I do suspect the next Avatar is probably also going to come out in 3D because like the one that just released was, and I think they filmed them all back to back. So we'll see. Actually, I thought the second Avatar movie, the water one, was pretty good in 3D. Like they did a good job.
Okay, well, Avatar is really like that. That movie's built for 3D usually, like from the ground up. Like there's a few movies that are like built from the ground up with 3D that's why they're
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. And then they had those movies where they like use some sort of tech to, Frankenstein 3D into it. And you're
Yeah.
like, what did they do here?
What the fuck is this shit? I saw Final Destination 3D. That one I would say is dope.
Yes.
But I was also
I have the 3D Blu-ray.
I was also on Shroom, so that might have been also a part of it allegedly. But
I imagine that had an impact.
that was
Yeah, I've got that Blu-ray. I got a 3D projector, and I don't set it up anymore. But
that's crazy. How much did that run you?
you know,
it
we don't talk about those things.
was yeah. I got you.
It wasn't cheap. It wasn't cheap.
No.
But it's like a pain. It's like a pain to like haul everything out and get it all set up, and I like still keep a PlayStation 3 or 4 because it still plays 3D Blu-ray.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I forgot that some of those games were 3D, huh?
Dude, I bought the PlayStation monitor when the PS3 dropped that had 3D, and you could play certain games in 3D. It was sick.
Oh, that's crazy. I
Yeah,
forgot
man.
about that.
It looks like a big, huge PlayStation Portable, but it's like pretty cool.
Dude, whenever
In retrospect, it's like very expensive for the size monitor it is.
No, Sony shit's like top. Like they always want to charge your arm and leg. It is always built really well, but they want to charge your arm and leg. The Virtual Boy wasn't that bad. I had it. I got it when it got discontinued, and KB's had it for $40, and I bought it.
Nice.
I bought it when, I liked it. I liked it. It was dope. I mean, it would hurt your head after a while, but you get down. I had a few games. I would go to Electronic Boutique and get whatever was fucking on clearance because they're trying to get rid of that shit.
Another tech that I thought would take off that didn't. Remember the 3DS? You could flip a little switch and it like.
I
looked
saw
3D,
that
didn't
when I
need
went
glasses or anything.
to a convention somewhere. They had that display.
Yeah, that was sick, man. But it just goes to show, like, you think something's going to be so popular because it is cool, but selling it to the public and getting, like, mass appeal attached to it is not easy.
No, I would buy every gimmick, every gadget, everything that I could afford or had access to. I would get, and yeah, a lot of it became trash. Like a lot of it. In the early 2010s, a lot of the gadgets I was coming up on Kickstarter and everything else became total junk.
Those, a lot of that has to do with the people selling it too. Like, I think they want a quick cash out. They don't really have like the passion and backing to stick it out, and see it through.
Yeah.
That's not the case with VR though. VR does have the backing. I mean, Meta's throwing stupid money trying to make this thing launch, and I think there's too much of a learning period for people to get into it. I thought when Apple released their Vision
Bro, same.
Pro that was going to change things, but then the price tag
Same.
came out, and I was like, well, no one's going to get into this. Like, and then
Same.
from what I hear, like the people who did buy it, there's no content. So what's the point of even owning one?
Yeah. Yeah, bro, I thought the same thing. I thought when Apple was getting in, okay, that's it. We're going mainstream. It's going to be the next iPhone bullshit. Like, you know, because if you guys don't know, Sony made the first smartwatches, like the first commercial available. They even call their shit's called smartwatch, Sony smartwatch, because they came out first. And then Android started doing they didn't have the Pixel yet, but they were like giving the operating system to everybody so they could make their own watches before they bought Fossil and the other and Fitbit, whatever.
Yeah, I bought the Motorola smartwatch, which is like one of the first mainstream Android.
So yeah, Motorola, and then Samsung, and then right after that, Apple came out last. And when Apple came in, it was like, all right, everybody has smartwatches now. If you don't have a Samsung, then you have an Apple, and that's just the way it is. Everybody has a smartwatch. I thought for sure virtual when Apple got in, but like you said, $3,500.
It's nuts.
I don't have one. I thought $1,000 was too much for the Index when it came out at $999.
Yes. Right. And to make matters worse, like there's no content. There's no point. They decided we're not going to go gaming with it, so now you're expecting people to utilize this as like a 3D workspace, and let's be real, like it's not super fun to work with a screen attached to your face.
No, not well. I'm not sure because with the resolution we're dealing with and the headset we're dealing with, it's not. But maybe with theirs, it's different. Maybe it is easier with their headset. I heard that the Big Screen 2 VR headset, the newest one they came out with, that those ones are super dope. But those are mostly for like media. They don't really have. I don't think they have games.
That's interesting.
But those are super light and small, and I can see those becoming like a workspace. If they can figure out how to do mixed reality on something that's small and light, then I can see it becoming more.
The mixed reality certainly has, to me, more promise for at least like work applications.
Yeah.
I not like being fully immersed, but maybe like being able to see documents on your desk that you don't have to physically print out and stuff. That could be pretty cool.
Exactly.
Like a decade ago, I went to buy a car. And I'm in like the place where you pay, the finance office, and this guy has this desk, and it's a big screen, and he slides his hand across the desk, and like fake papers slide towards me, and I sign with my finger, and I thought that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, man, these guys got it figured out. Like, this is dope. I was like, one day this is gonna be the world, right? Like, there's no paper anymore. We just have like desks that are giant screens that replace the experience. But that also hasn't launched. But they must have spent some money, man.
That's fucking crazy.
It is crazy.
That's some shit I see at the Grammy Museum.
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. It's some cool tech out there, and you hope that one day the future looks like that. But we're still chugging along slowly towards that goal.
Man, I mean, technology is definitely going faster, and with AI, I know everything's not AI. They say it's AI, but it's LLM or it's, whatever the fuck. I know it's not AI exactly, but the rate everything's going, then yeah, it's going to be built into everything, and we're just going to have like smart everything. Like, it's not going to be smart. It's going to be AI this, AI that, because it's going to be beyond smart. It's going to be conversational.
I look forward to the future of
really?
AI. I mean, yeah, dude. Everyone's so scared I was going to take my job. It's like, no, dude, it's going to make your job so much less stressful and easy.
Maybe. I want the little flying robot buddy. That's what I want. I want to be able to be like, yo, what's up, flying robot buddy? Go give me a joint. And he'd be like, all right, got you, bro. And he go gets it.
I think the end goal is that one day AI and automation makes it so that you don't have to work and they'll have a basic income. And
that's what they say, bro. But they also made that robot that eats human bodies. So I don't know.
Okay, I'm unaware of this. I'll have to look that up after.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't know about that? There's a robot that they made for the battlefield to eat the dead bodies of soldiers. That's how it gets that the fuel is the dead bodies that he eats.
Oh my gosh. That sounds like some video game shit, dude. That's crazy.
Bro, by the way, if you don't know, the new season of Black Mirror dropped. It's already available as we speak.
Oh shit! All right, I know what I'm doing after.
I cannot watch it. I told my wife I would wait for her, and she said we'll do it this weekend. And I said, what exactly? She said Black Mirror. I said, damn, okay, that's cool too. And then so we're gonna do Black Mirror.
Oh shit! I actually forgot it was coming out, but I did watch some old episodes just to like get back into it. I've also been trying to catch up on, or not catch up, but rewatch some Stranger Things. That show's awesome.
I dropped out after the third season. I couldn't do it no more. I was
Really?
like, but the first couple of seasons I was deep into. I was like, this is the most amazing shit I've ever seen.
Dude, I hang on to shows too long, way past when I should, like Lost and you know
No, it's good.
shows like that. Game
Oh,
of
bro.
Thrones. You like the end of Lost? I don't know,
No, no, I didn't like Lost. I'm saying, but that's good that you like still watch old shows. That's cool. It's alright.
Yeah, I see them through. Let's put it that way. Like honestly, if I'd stopped watching Game of Thrones like 2 seasons before the last, I probably would have been better off because that show tanked. It's unfortunate. It had so much promise.
I'm the same way. I won't start Game of Thrones. I won't start it, and I know it's great. I've heard it from the beginning when it first came out. Even before it came out, it was on G4, and they were like saying how great it is. I didn't get into it, but I won't because I have to see it through. I did that with Mad Men,
Yeah.
Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
Sons
Oh
of
yeah.
Anarchy,
Yep. Mad Men.
all of that.
Yep. Same for all the. And the only show I didn't see through was Walking Dead.
I won't start that
Um,
one either.
They had this one season where they left you in this major cliffhanger, and I was like, you know what, I'm done, dude. How dare you do this to your fans? I'm out. And that's the only time I've like just given up on a show halfway through.
Nah.
Still never went back and watched. I read about what this cliffhanger was later on, but that show was so good the first season. But like most zombie shows or movies, once you like, the fun part is seeing the spread of like zombies. But once you're actually in the world with the zombies, it's hard to keep that story interesting.
Yeah. It is sad to see a good story like fall apart. Like you just realize like, oh, there's nothing to this anymore. Like it's just gonna be zany activity. Like
Yeah.
at this point, it's a sitcom basically.
Right, like
Situation.
Heroes, man. Heroes was like one of the greatest like first.
Oh,
seasons
tell
of the
me
show.
about it. That was another one that I used to love that fell apart towards the end. That
Dude, I
one,
tried to-
that one in
I tried
Prison
to give
Break.
it a second shot recently. Oh, dude, actually, it's crazy you say that. I'm watching Prison Break season 1 right now.
Oh, bro, that was the first few seasons.
My wife has never seen it, and so I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I get a chance to relive it. You get a chance to see it for the first time. But I know that eventually it's gonna fall off. But we'll see. Maybe we'll make it all the way through.
But so the good parts, as long as they're in jail, you're still watching the good parts. That's the
Yeah,
best
right,
parts.
right.
Once they
Yeah,
got out, it was like, oh, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? This is not 24. You're not Jack Bauer. What was I gonna say? Another one up one. Damn, I forgot.
There's a lot of those shows that they start off so damn good. They have a good premise. Maybe it was supposed to be a mini series, which makes sense. A show called Prison Break. Once you break out of prison, and then they I don't want to spoil for people, but it's been a long time. Then they put them back in a different prison. It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta be kidding me, man.
Yo, you guys are going back to the well. This isn't what's happening.
It's like, just give up, man. You should have made this a mini series. Same thing with Heroes, although I think it was supposed to be a mini series.
Yeah, I mean, Heroes. I think it was. You're right. Like
And it was so popular. They're just like, let's just do it more. And they didn't really have a direction anymore.
that sucks when they keep juicing it. Like I like it when they just end it. Like boom, that's it. We did enough, and this is what it was, and this is the storylines.
Like I know Sopranos was pretty long, but dude, they ended it, and they ended it perfectly. And I don't think there was a bad episode in that whole show.
You just reminded me of what I was gonna say. The Wire. I can't wait till somebody wants to rewatch
Ooh,
The Wire
yes.
because I love The Wire. I would rewatch it again in a second. And I saw
Hell yeah, man.
the fourth season was a little shaky, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was just a little shaky. That's it. But it was still good in my opinion. 4 seasons. She was awesome.
The Wire is a great show. Absolutely, I'm with you on that. In fact, that's one my wife hasn't seen. I might get her to binge that one next.
She, my wife doesn't like a lot of those gangster movies and stuff like that, but we watch a lot of shows together. Right now, we just finished watching Lotus. That shit was crazy. Brothers don't jerk brothers off for fun, like because they want to be people pleasers. What the hell are you talking about? What was that about? When I found out he did it on purpose, I was like, no, you're supposed to be drunk. What are you doing?
Dude, I have no earthly. That show, I enjoyed the first few seasons, and then that happened, and I was like, oh, I'm out. This
Nah,
is
you can't be
crazy.
out. You gotta see it through, bro. You gotta see it through.
I'll probably see it through, but I stopped watching. I'll have to pick it back up and just like.
Apparently,
certain parts.
so apparently, I told my homie like, oh, the first season's great. I love the first season. Like that's my favorite one. The second one's all right, but the first one's my jam.
Right,
He
yep,
watched the first
right.
episode and I completely forgot. Like this is not like, oh, I have this like scene on my wall. Like I look. So apparently the guy shows his genitals in the very first scene, like of that, and I was
I
like, he was
remember
like,
that.
he got mad at me. He's like, bro, I was with my girl, my kids. I was like,
Oh no.
bro, this is mature audiences only.
Dude, I did not remember that either.
I forgot. I'm sorry.
Look, if you're watching HBO shows, you kind of have to expect a little.
Expected. We're from the old school where HBO was the spot in Cinemax. Cinemax.
For sure, 100%, man. I mean, there's still some good HBO shows running that'll come back
Oh, yeah.
eventually. I don't know.
Oh, Gemstones, bro. If you're not watching Gemstones,
I'm watching Gemstones.
you
I'm watching
gotta watch
Gemstones.
Gemstones. That shit is. But I don't know why they canceled Vice Principals. Something about
Dude,
HBO
Vice
where
Principals was the best. Like, I thought that was better than Gemstones. And before that, Eastbound and Down was like my favorite show, man.
I get it. Eastbound and Down ran its course, but Vice Principals
Yeah, it
barely
went
had 2
long.
seasons.
I know, I don't get it. And then they just took all the same actors and made Gemstones.
That's what I'm saying. So like, I guess because the HBO does that a lot though. They'll do 2 seasons of a show and move on and use the same actors and everything because they just have one contract. It's easier for them.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Netflix seems kind of similar, but they cancel shows too early, way too often. Where it's like, dude, this thing was just hitting its stride, and you just called it quits.
Everybody's like, everybody right now is like greenlighting and canceling shows right away because of how much streaming's costing for them. Everybody's
Makes sense.
hemorrhaging money because of all this streaming.
It's insane. It's insane because when Netflix first dropped, it was like what, $8 a month,
Yeah.
and there was no competitor, so they had everything. They had all the content, just one spot.
Funny
And then
story.
Hulu came out,
Go ahead.
and it had all the live TV. You know, you could watch everything that aired last night. Just with those 2 apps, you could see basically all content. Period. And now there's a million apps.
No. Before Google TV, there was this thing called Sling TV, and I used to have Sling TV,
Okay.
and you could watch live TV on there, and it was only $20 a month, and I had that shit forever. Oh, it was so dope. But it's now like
Yeah, we
60
had a
or
Sling
70.
TV. We had a Sling TV set up, and you're talking about, so there was Sling TV, and then there was like Sling Box before that. I don't know if they're related companies or not, but you
No.
installed the Sling Box on your TV, and you could watch your own content
Yeah, I
wherever
remember
you
that.
were.
I couldn't
And then
afford
Sling
it.
TV, yeah, Sling TV came out, and it was just like basically like what YouTube TV is now. I think it's still going. Both
Yeah.
of them have gotten outrageous. I switched
No, the
to
price is
YouTube
crazy.
TV, and YouTube TV when it first came out, it's like, man, I'm canceling cable. I canceled cable, and it was like, I don't know, $35 a month,
45.
and now it's like $85 or
Yeah.
something, and it's just getting stupid, man.
It's getting higher and higher.
They're just cable now. They're just cable now.
Sling used to be, I don't know if they still are, but they used to be owned by Dish Network, and that's how they were getting away with this. But they got a lot of shit from the networks and everything because of what they were doing. And eventually, when everything settled, and Google TV came out, and Hulu TV came out, and everybody had their TV, their prices all had to compete, and they raised the fucking price on all of them. Because Sling used to be $20 a month, and
Yeah,
now it's like $70, $80, bro. I'm hating
That's
it,
crazy.
bro. Back in my day,
I hate it. Yeah, exactly. Back in the golden days of streaming, you paid like 3 different things at most, and you got everything.
nah, but
You
it's,
got live TV. You got
let's be
all
honest.
of it.
We all had Cody, or we all had fucking.
Well, yes. Yes. Dude, I used to watch the movies that are still in theaters, but it's like on a shaky cam.
Yeah.
You know, I used to go to Times Square just to buy those DVDs, and then I found out you could just download them online without having to pay for it.
Bro, before Cody, it was XBMC, which was Xbox Media Center, and they basically gave Xbox the idea for, I think, for everything the 360 that did later. I think they realized.
Dude, I had a hacked Xbox, like
Yeah.
the first one,
Yeah,
and I had so much content on there, man.
I
It
still
was
got
sick.
mine.
Yeah, no shit. I wish I still had mine, dude. I had some
Allegedly,
really good movies
allegedly.
on there.
Don't come after me, Microsoft.
Yeah, you're right. And then the 360 came out, and it was basically just taking all the good stuff that thing did, and that was like I guess really the first version of like a smart TV that we see today.
Basically,
Like at least at mass, in mass.
yeah.
I mean, nowadays people, dude, I know older people, like we're talking like older people who like found some kid who sold them a hacked Fire Stick, and they've got all the content. Like,
Yeah.
that stuff's still around.
Yeah, man, that was fucking, dude. What's funny is you mentioned Netflix and HBO. HBO had a chance to buy Netflix because Netflix was struggling. They went into
That's nuts.
Blockbuster and HBO, like, buy us. We got this idea. They were streaming this shit, and they were like, "Get the fuck out of here! You guys are fucking idiots." And
That's
Netflix
crazy.
went at it alone, and now look at them now.
Dude, they succeeded. I mean, in the early days of Netflix, when you had to like get a DVD in the mail, it was still better than the pricing you paid with like Blockbuster.
Nah, I
And
was
then
a
they came out
Blockbuster
with
kid,
streaming.
bro. You go to Blockbuster.
Oh, we all were. Who
You see the
wasn't?
girl down the
You know,
street. You check out movies together. Like, hey, what's up? You want to come watch this movie together?
who wasn't a Blockbuster kid, man? Dude, Blockbuster was awesome. On a Friday, you go, and half the fun is just like hanging out in the store and like fighting over what we're gonna watch.
Bro, if I ever make a
I miss that.
if I ever lounge or a bar, I'm calling it Blockbuster. I'm gonna make it just like the store.
That's awesome. I fully support that idea. I
Oh
fully
man,
support that idea.
Percent. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Your time. It's been a long time coming, so I appreciate you doing this with me. It was like nothing, man. The time flew by. It was like we're in the booth just chit chatting like we used to. We gotta do it
That's
again,
right,
my
dude.
guy. We get together and do something again together.
I'm with you, man. 100%. I enjoy it. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Before we go, any last words? Any shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, you had Quad on before. Shout out to Quad. Shout out to everyone at TM&M. Shout out to you and Makers. Shout out to all the people that I've interacted with in this community. I miss all you guys. Satan Slayer, Odd, Midnight, Flippy, all of you people, man. Feel free to hit me up whenever. Some of you still do. It's cool to keep in touch, man. We had some good times.
All right. And just for the record, you're not proud of what you did.
Of course not. Of course not.
All right.
I've had a lot of fundamental changes. I'm not going to get into all that right now. Maybe on another series. But my life is changed drastically and for the better.
I could attest to that. I've known my man for 5 years, and we all make mistakes, and shit happens. As long as it wasn't financial or physical, we should be able to move on.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Well, shout out to everybody who's still watching, viewing. If you're still watching after this episode, maybe you're not. I don't know. But hey, this is what this is. We're catching up with all our homies, and this is one of my homies. If you guys want to get on the episode, hit me up. Shout out to everybody's watch, subscribe, comment. Thank you for tuning in. Until the next episode, we're going to get the fuck out of here. Peace.
Peace.